change. You hear that music in the background? Do you hear music in the background? You don't hear it? You know what? You know who that's by? A new artist. Well, he's not really new, but he's suddenly blowing up. His name is G Body, and that's a first selection on his new CD. And he is going to be where next week? Come on, you guys.
Here,
Right
Voices
here.
of Change.
On the Voices of Change. So we're looking so forward to seeing Mr. G Body. I wonder how he got that name, G Body. Well, I guess we'll have to see when he comes in next week, huh?
Indeed.
Looking forward to it.
You're being so good, Elliot. I'm so proud.
Because you setting me up, but I ain't going to fall for it today.
My name is Jan, and I'll be your host this evening.
And I'm Shamel, your co-host.
And I'm Elliot, your co-host. Ha.
And you're being so good. I really wanted you to, but anyway, that's okay. That's okay.
I'm going to be good. I told you.
Me too. Today we're going to discuss, of course, what's going on in the news for the past week. R. Kelly, there's a whole lot of things involved with that case, and I've been struggling all week to think about what aspect of that case or what aspect of that whole issue are we going to talk about. So what I decided to do was focus on ways to protect our children, not just our girls, because I used to think at one time that it was problematic for females, but to protect our girls and our boys.
Yes.
So after we talk about R. Kelly again during the Real Talk segment, we're going to talk about ways to protect our children. A big shout out to our partners, GV Entertainment, Oda Enterprises, and of course, a couple of weeks before tax season, Grade Tax Service. I start my show off with scripture for today. It's from Luke chapter 6, verse 37. And it goes, "Do not judge, and you will not be judged. Do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven." We are going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with the News You Can Use segment, only on the Voices of Change. There he goes again. There he goes again. For those of you just tuning in, you're listening to the Voices of Change on Intellectual Radio, and this segment is the News You Can Use. Chance the Rapper admits he made a mistake when he recorded a song with R. Kelly in the final episode of the Lifetime docu-series Surviving R. Kelly. Making a song with R. Kelly was a mistake. I didn't value the accuser's story because they were Black women. He further said, I made a mistake. He made a mistake. This statement highlights the devaluation of Black girls and Black women. What do you think about that statement? Or perhaps it's an overreaction. Maybe it was just knee-jerk and he said, you know what? I didn't value Black women. I didn't value Black girls, so that's why I didn't believe it. Or, because I was trying to rationalize. He is young. I was trying to rationalize because I remember when Michael Jackson had something similar way back in the day with the accusations with the young boys. And I just didn't believe it. And I still don't believe it, even though they're getting ready to make a docu-series on that, which
Oh, God.
I really don't want to. But
Watch.
I don't believe it. So I don't know. He got a lot of flack for saying that. The partial government shutdown glided into its third week Saturday with no end in sight. If the government is not reopened before February, millions of Americans who receive SNAP, the nation's food stamp program, could have their assistance disrupted. In September 2018, the last month for which data is available, 4.7 billion in SNAP benefits were dispersed throughout every state. If the shutdown continues through March, there will be no remaining funding for SNAP, endangering food security for millions of Americans. In the first 5 months of 2018, around 7 million Americans received WIC. WIC is provided for pregnant, postpartum, and breastfeeding women, infants, and children up to age 5 who fall within poverty index and are at a nutritional risk. The WIC program granted nearly $5 billion to every U.S. state and territory in 2018 as of December. Americans who benefit from both SNAP and WIC would be particularly affected in February. Just as a side note, this is the longest shutdown in U.S. history,
All right, here I go.
with no end in sight.
Here I go.
Go ahead.
Now, I was shared with a couple of my friends regarding this shutdown.
Uh-huh.
And it's funny because I talked about you even last night. I said, people are not going to get their tax returns and whatnot, their refunds in a timely fashion. And that affects people like Janice who do taxes because some of us can be, a little, well, I won't use the word, but some of us can procrastinate as it is.
Mm-hmm.
And if we know, oh, I'm not going to get a return there anyway, I might as well wait. That money that people like Janice doesn't get.
Right.
So it's more than just, them shutting down. It's a trickle down effect. It affects everything.
Everybody.
And I told a friend of mine last night, I said it was a matter of time before we encounter something like this because people didn't believe Trump when he really started talking about this wall. He meant
it.
What he
he
said.
meant
What he
said,
says,
and
he yeah.
wanted it.
Yeah.
And he's going to get it at any cost. He's not budget. And either we were going to end up in war, we were going to end up with a crippled government, and we are well on our way, unfortunately.
Well, luckily the IRS just, we get all these little flashes, and they did tell us that the season starts on the 28th of this month, a couple weeks. And they also told us people will get refunds. The reason being probably because there was, people were going, a lot of people get $5, $6, $7, $8, $9,000 back.
Yeah.
And to your point, that would have shut down all of the tax preparers because why would I pay you if I'm not going to get a refund?
Exactly.
Even in prior years when we've had shutdowns, it was delayed.
Yes.
So I'm kind of curious as to this being the longest shutdown. And now they're telling us from everything we're getting that season starts on January 28th and people will get refunds within 7 to 10 days when they e-file.
Well, that's good too.
So
We'll just see.
Yeah.
I don't know. But to your point, this man is adamant. He's bent and
Yes.
he's not going to move.
But it's just a lot. And you shutting down, and yes, some people have those benefits, WIC and SNAP or
And yeah, those
link
recipients.
cards, and they're struggling. But
As it
sometimes
is.
I feel like I work hard, and
Is
I
middle
can't
class
even
Shamel
get-
coming out now?
Here come. I feel it.
I'm waiting.
I just because I don't get benefits, and I'm struggling.
But you're not in the poverty line. See,
but
it goes by how much you make every year.
Yeah, but
you make money, sweetheart.
Yeah, you're an
I
educator.
understand that, but I'm not the only one who can make money. You have to get up. It's just some people who live off of it.
No, a lot of people are working poor, where they get up and they go to these jobs and they're making
Yeah.
$9 to $10 an hour,
There you
and they
go.
have a family. They work 40 hours a week and they're working poor.
Yeah.
So people like that should get SNAP, or people that are unable to, or people that may be. I mean, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking. You're thinking about.
Uh-huh.
You're thinking about people who are healthy and able-bodied,
And
who
being
are laying in
lazy,
bed
basically.
and
There you
not
go.
getting up, and they're kind of stopping that. They're sweeping different states and saying, even prior to this,
They're giving
that if
drug
you get
tests, too.
SNAP, you have to work. That does happen sometime, but not very often. That's upper class Shamel talking, but that's okay. I get it.
That's all right.
I get it.
That's
I
all
get
right.
it.
I ain't mad at
Upper class.
you.
I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
It's all right.
Yep.
It's really okay.
Oh, I ain't worried about it. I know.
No, oh, I know.
You never worry about it because what?
Oh, I know it's okay, but it's just
You
I
know
don't
she
know.
gonna speak her mind.
That's
I well, that's what we like about her.
Shimmy, shimmy.
Shimmy's going to
Pop,
she is
baby.
going to speak her mind.
at all times.
Hey, that's all
Oh, we're going to see this.
right.
Centonia Brown, a Tennessee woman who was convicted as a teenager for killing a man while she was said to be a sex trafficking victim, was granted clemency. Brown's case was championed by celebrities with hashtag Free Centonia Brown, a frequently used hashtag on social media. She'll be eligible for release August 7th after serving 15 years in prison and will remain on parole for 10 years after that. Remember you talked about her last week, or was it 2 weeks ago, Chanel? When you said that everybody was
Oh
trying to
yes,
really,
trying to get her
aggressively
out of
being an
there.
advocate for her.
Yes,
It worked.
it
The
did.
governor,
'Cause it was crazy.
it worked.
It's crazy how some of these sentences are long for not little things, but for like she was fighting for her life,
Yeah.
and you give her what was it life or 50 years, and she wouldn't get parole after 50 years. Like what?
Yeah.
Outrageous.
Yeah. And how old was she when she went in? I didn't know she's been in
She
that
was
long.
young.
She's been in
like
15 years
16.
almost.
Yeah.
Wow.
So she's about
in her 30s.
yeah.
Like early 30s.
All of
It's
her young
crazy.
adulthood has been in
Absolutely.
prison.
Gone.
Wow.
Authorities say two sisters were accused of fatally stabbing and shooting their mother in southwest Mississippi. 32-year-old Erica Hall was found dead in her yard near Magnolia early Saturday with multiple stab wounds and a gunshot wound. She was attacked by her 12 and 14-year-old daughters. The 14-year-old was charged with murder as an adult and remained jailed on Monday. The 12-year-old is held in juvenile detention. It wasn't immediately clear whether either has a lawyer. Relatives found the victim, and deputies and paramedics could not resuscitate her. Under Mississippi law, children 13 and older accused of certain crimes are automatically charged as adults. Judges can later transfer cases to youth court. The AP typically doesn't identify juveniles accused of crimes. This time they did. This is a hot case.
See,
12 and 14 stabbed there. Why did
I
they
would
do it?
venture to have to dig into why.
That's what I was just
Why?
looking at. Did they say I'm not saying there's any justification,
None.
None.
but
But they
what-
gotta be. I feel like hopefully there's a reason for you to
do
stab
this.
your mother.
That's just like the Menendez brothers who killed their parents. That's what this is
You know,
reminds me
I didn't think
of.
they really did it at first. When I remember when the story first came
No, I
out,
don't.
and I'm like, those
pretty
boys
young.
didn't do
That's so stupid.
that.
You think the good of everybody at first.
I
appreciate
know.
you.
And then after I find out their evilness, that's it.
And
But
they still like
I-
they finally got back in the same prison though together.
Oh,
I thought they were separated.
No, they're in the same prison now.
Now, how old are
together.
they now? Were they
Oh,
kids too?
they-
Like,
They were. One was in high
They were
school
college or
still,
something, right?
They
and
gotta be
one
in their
was like
40s or
college.
something by now,
Yeah,
right?
they're older.
and their
Yeah.
motive was money.
Yeah, get that. They went and bought a car the next day. What? So
The
they
parents
got
would
daddy's
have.
money.
The parents would have
Well,
probably bought them a car if they
the watches and all. What? And just
And you're not around there enjoying any of it now.
and
No.
shouldn't be.
that was crazy. They went and changed the wheel and everything. That show was
This next story is near and dear, but it just sounds a little fishy. Okay. Mother of Northwestern basketball player sues sorority for wrongful death and daughter's suicide. Out of Evanston, the mother of a Northwestern University basketball player filed a lawsuit against a sorority at the university for wrongful death in her daughter's suicide. Felicia Hankins, the mother of Jordan Hankins, filed the suit Tuesday and claimed that Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority hazed her daughter, which caused her severe anxiety and depression, which led to her suicide in 2017. The 50-page complaint listed AKA and 11 other defendants. The complaint claimed that Hankins was subjected to mental, physical, and verbal abuse, as well as financial exploitation and sleep deprivation. It also claimed that during her pledging process, she was subjected to paddling and items being thrown and dumped on her, and other forms of hazing, which the complaint said was intended to humiliate and demean her. The complaint said Hankins tried to communicate to members of the sorority that the hazing was triggering her PTSD, causing anxiety and depression, and that she was having suicidal thoughts. Hankins hung herself in her dorm room on January 9th, 2017, according to the complaint. The hazing incident occurred allegedly in late 2016. Late 2016. AKA has been suspended from the university from May 2016 until fall 2019. The director of Greek life at Northwestern told the paper the sorority was under full suspension, which means they were not able to or authorized to recruit or hold events. Instead, as a condition of her membership, it is alleged she was subjected to all the severe physical and mental abuse by members of AKA. Despite despite repeated warnings that the hazing was triggering her anxiety and depression, they allege that AKA failed to take action to stop the abuse. It is critical that we hold the sorority and the individuals who were personally involved accountable and to eliminate these dangerous and deadly rituals before another tragedy occurs, according to her mother. This had so many holes in it for me, and not because it's Alpha Kappa Alpha or not because it's a
And
sorority.
I was going to ask, aren't
But okay, could you imagine number one, you're pledging underground or you're and the chapter suspended. The chapter doesn't exist. Anytime a chapter gets suspended, everybody knows. When you're at school, if a chapter got suspended, wouldn't you know? Particularly if you wanted to pledge it.
Indeed.
Okay, so you wanted to pledge underground, okay? Allegedly, which if you're pledging underground, I mean, are you really pledging if they don't have a presence? But then you're going to say they were paddling you and I feel sorry for the parents that lost a daughter, but the mother's claim is that she was being paddled and she was being hazed, and she went to her sisters, her big sisters, and told them, "Please stop doing this to me because it's causing PTSD and it's causing me anxiety and depression." And you're in a pledge state and you're telling them that repeatedly. I don't believe that. I don't even know about
you
the
don't
fact.
believe that she said told them
No,
that?
if you're pledging and you're being hazed, and I don't know anything about the hazing because as far as I'm concerned, Alpha Kappa Alpha doesn't haze like that.
Well,
But if
maybe
you felt like you were
that
you were you
chapter
were
might.
getting mentally hazed, if you felt like that, and you want to be in this organization, you're going to go to them. I don't want to say whining, but you're going to go to them saying, "You're causing me PTSD, so please don't do that because it's causing me anxiety and depression." I don't know if that would happen. I don't maybe it would, maybe it did.
So are you saying you don't think that she told them
No.
that CIPA?
No. People, a lot of people who have pledged even in different organizations or
Mhm.
different chapters that may have had a touch of hazing. Some of them may go through whatever, but they're not going to tell their particular big sisters that. No, they may tell their peers that. They're not going to tell the organization that because had they wrote a letter or called Alpha Kappa Alpha, they would have went down there immediately and investigated because they didn't even have a chapter. They were under suspension. They had no rights. They couldn't do anything
Hmm.
So they were suspended.
in May through 2019. This happened to her at the end of the year in 2016.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I mean, I've heard of people pledging underground or doing whatever and hoping that once they finally when they get their chapter back, she was gonna wait 3 years. I mean, and I don't know. It could have happened. It just seems to me, and this is the mother telling the story. So we don't know how much facts she has. I don't know. Just feels a little suspect.
Interesting.
But I mean, I'm not saying that her not being able to get into the organization didn't lead to her depression. I don't know if her depression was due to whatever. Who knows? Hopefully, they'll get
It
to
may have
the.
already been there, and if this hazing happened the way they say it did in
They
May,
triggered it, or
right?
if anything happened, it would trigger it.
Hmm. Interesting.
Anyway, just interesting. According to the Chicago Tribune, Illinois Department of Agriculture spokesman Denise Albert cited security concerns as a reason behind the R. Kelly April 2019 concert cancellation. The concert was scheduled to take place on April 6th at the Illinois State Fairgrounds in Springfield. They had just submitted an application, and unfortunately, we can't control when an organizer begins promoting an event. Of the 13 IDOA administrative code criteria that applicants must meet in order to lease space, Albert said that Kelly's concert failed to meet the following: security, foreseeable problems, and the welfare of the general community. So the concert shut down. In essence, he just applied for it and it shut down. And R. Kelly's
It's a
estranged
lovely
daughter.
table. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh,
I'll leave that alone.
R. Kelly's estranged daughter has spoken
Yeah.
out about allegations against her father for the first time since an explosive documentary about the R&B singer aired on Lifetime. Joanne Kelly, who goes by the name Buku Abi, posted a long statement on her Instagram story Thursday. I do apologize if my silence to all that is happening comes off as careless. This is my last intention. I pray for all the families and women who have been affected by my father's actions. Trust, I have been deeply affected by all of this. However, it has been very difficult to process it all, let alone gather all the right words to express everything I feel. She continued, the same monster you are confronting me about is my father. I'm well aware of who and what he is. I grew up in that house. My choice to not speak on him and what he does is for my peace of mind, my emotional state, and my healing.
Quite loaded.
Any comments on that?
Quite loaded.
That's his daughter. That's
That's a lot to
deep.
unpack. That's a lot to
That
unpack. Oh
and
my.
it's been like this all week. You've been hearing things all week.
I've been staying out of the out of the loop purposely because I'm like that. Just the 2 episodes that I saw was enough for me to just.
You didn't see the last night,
I
did you?
didn't want to see any more after the first two. First
The
three,
last one
I
to
didn't
me was the
even
most
finish the
riveting.
first two.
The last two.
I don't need to see any more of that. The ones that I saw was enough. I'm like, I can't. I can't.
Let me ask you this: out of the first two nights that you saw that really what got to you the most? Do you think?
This young lady that's been missing for like 2 or 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
like, and they can't find her. They don't know where she is. That's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking to see a mother and a father searching for their child, and you think you know where your child is,
That was heartbreaking. Yeah, with the parents.
and when you get so close, and yet you figure out you're yet far away, and you don't know where your child is. The other part of it was the mother who saw her daughter on TV,
Oh yeah.
and she went and got her child. And the child like, this is the hardest decision I ever had to make.
Oh, that's the one who got her out of the hotel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I was like, wow, like
That was deep.
it was very deep.
Was that the one he dressed like a boy?
Yes.
That
Yeah.
was.
Said that, he dressed up like a boy, he drew a mustache on her and all these other things.
Now, is that weird?
Very well, let me say it, not to be offensive. It's weird to us because we don't think on that level. It's probably normal for him because
Well, he did it.
He is.
He did it. Yeah.
That's where that's where his mindset is. So it's normal, for him. For us, it's like that's totally out of the box. That's totally weird. I'm not saying you're right, but you also have to take into consideration where everybody else's mindset is, and what their past experiences have been, or whatever's going on with them mentally at the moment. That's normal to them. For those of us that are not in that mindset, it's not normal. It's not, it's just not normal. It's weird, if you want to use the word. It's abnormal. So,
Well, for him to change her orientation because she went there as a female,
yeah.
loving to be a female, and then he changed her orientation, cut her hair, wanted her to from allegedly cut her hair, and
somewhere where was she just like a guy like prior to?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
If she would have done it prior to, then it would have been fine. I mean,
That's
that's her orientation. But listen, it was.
Now my wheels turning.
I know, making you think.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's to him that may be normal, and so in effort to be politically correct, I'll respect your normalcy to keep you sane, whatever. But to the rest of us, it's disturbing, and there's no telling what mental things that young lady has gone through because of things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I heard on the radio a couple of days ago, where R. Kelly's people are like, oh, well, he never had a cold, and this is not true. But then why all these young ladies, like, why these people coming out with specifics about what they've seen, and then your own daughter's like, I'm not going to speak on this for my own healing. I lived in the house. I know what's going on.
Well,
So
they're
what did you
they're
have?
they're actually saying that these women are doing it for profit, for money, hopefully to get a
All the
deal
women with the same story.
with the same
You ain't got no
story.
money now. No way. Let's be real. You done already lost. He had a house here that I believe he lost, and a house was that in Atlanta
Atlanta, he had one in
that he
Atlanta.
lost. So you're already losing money. So this is I don't me personally. I don't think this is for a financial gain because you're spending more money trying to put this man up, and you're not gonna get anything
Yeah, but R. Kelly was paying money. There was one young girl there
to
that,
shut them up.
yeah, the pretty girl, Sharonda, I think her name
Hmm.
was, with the big
Hmm.
eyes.
Hmm.
He was giving her $5,000 a month.
Hmm.
So when she finally decided to go with Lifetime, he cut her money off. She'd been getting $5,000 a month for years.
Hmm.
And that
$5,000 a month, people really, I mean, you would want to work because it's not, but
is not a whole lot
it's enough for somebody not to work though.
It
if
really
you do it
Actually,
right.
yeah, because it's $5,000. So,
Mhm.
probably would have been more quiet.
Right, it'll keep you quiet, but then
and you
how
also don't know because you're like upper class Chamel. I'm just not to pick on you guys today, but you don't know people what need more makes people do. People who don't have, or you're barely making the bills meet, or you
Yeah.
need more bites into morality and everything else.
it
It
does,
shouldn't, but it
it
does.
does.
When you need more and someone's dangling this in front of you,
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
but it doesn't dangle things in front of you enough to have a can to use a bathroom in a room. Some
but
of
you
that stuff
never.
I just couldn't get over.
I mean, but see, if all of them have that same story, if all of them are making it up, maybe you're making it more than what it is. But whatever the case may be, the fact of the matter is, from what we can gather from what we've seen on TV in this show, you've had these young ladies in your house and in your
Does it
studio
bother you as
and
far
what
as the
have
ones
you.
who are older, over 17, or does the just the younger ones bother you, or do all of them bother you?
In general, all of it bothers me. I'm more bothered by the underage young ladies
Hmm.
because I
Of
feel like you're taking
course.
Yeah,
advantage of them.
absolutely.
I think at a certain age you know right from wrong anyway, but you're really
You
taking
should.
advantage of
This
their
is
youth.
true.
And then even the older ones, you're still taking advantage of them because they're caught up in your glitz and your glamour
Yeah.
and
And he
what they feel you
manipulates,
can
and
do.
he knows who to
Right.
pick.
Yes.
And you
Yes.
know,
He
right.
knows who to
It's
pick.
been the same type of young lady
Mm,
throughout the stories,
Yeah.
and you take advantage of the parents' hopes and dreams because they feel like you can do something.
for
And
them.
so it makes it hard for the people who are trying to do right.
Do you remember the young girl from Oak Park? You you maybe not. The girl on the video, the young girl from Oak Park, when he used to go to Oak Park High School and go to her games, and I was
Oh, I
living
missed
in Oak
that.
Park then, and
Wow.
and I remember when all that was going on, and like they said, the videos were on every corner. I've seen at least
See.
two or three of them.
But see, what grown man who has notoriety would want to come to your daughter's games to support her? No, that's predator stuff right there to me.
But I don't think people looked at it like that. People looked
But you
at it
should.
as and we're going to talk about that later. But people looked at it as this guy is so nice because everyone said there's two R. Kelly. There's what, R. Kelly and Robert or something.
Robert.
Yeah, and I
Yes.
There's
mean,
two
and
people.
I'll give you that. There are, but you some certain things ought to just trigger you anyway. And maybe that's just me. Certain things just trigger me. I don't care. I'm because I work at church and I work around young people. And before all this stuff really started coming out, at my church, and I can say this, we sign as leaders every year. We sign these code of conduct papers.
Hmm.
There are rules. You can't be in a room with a young person by yourself. Another adult has to be with you. You know, I have a couple of choir members who are under the age of 18 who I drop off, but in my car there are two fully grown women in the car with me. She never rides in the car by herself. If she's with me, I'm on the phone. Hey, call me. Let's talk. I'm on the phone. So and so is in the car the entire time. And then very rarely she's ever in the car by herself with me.
Hmm.
It's me and another adult that she knows, to
Yeah.
protect yourself. But I'm not just going to show up at, some random event of hers. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes.
without talking to her parents or whatever. Hey, I want to come to this, I want to come to that. Are you going to be there? I want to come and support. You know what I'm saying? There are things to do. You just showing up to young people's stuff, just out of nowhere. You live all the way out in Olympia Field somewhere. You're going to come all the way to Oak Park. That's some predator stuff to me. I'm sorry.
And that would have triggered it with you, but with them, well,
And I get it.
In
It
that
probably
particular
didn't.
case, maybe it did, maybe it didn't. I don't know what situation they're in, but I know the
Mhm.
family's still working with him. The father, even after that video went out, the father still played with him. Plays.
Mm.
The daughter, when they went to court, the mother and the father said that it wasn't her. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
everybody, I can respect um where their mental state can be and whatever's behind it, but just me on a personal level, that thing would trigger something with me. There would be no way that
Exactly.
you would show up at my child's event and I don't know you're coming. Yeah, you being sweet with my child right here.
I'll take it a step further. You're talking about someone coming to your event. Throughout all the series, he talked about instances where these kids were basically dropped off in his care. I mean, he would have his staff there and say, we're going to really take care of her, blah 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 blah. But as a parent, most parents wouldn't do that.
They wouldn't.
But some of them, maybe they thought this is how the industry works. If they're working on a CD
A
or
song
something,
or something.
that they're going to be in the studio all night. He has a wherewithal, a big house, a big whatever. So
And I get that, but I still wouldn't take it as such. There's no all nighters with my child. 9 o'clock, whatever you're doing, stop. So I'm picking up my child at 9. End of story.
Well, I'm staying.
Right. If we said all
I'm
that, I'm gonna be
sorry.
there with my child.
well, if I'm
I'm
not
staying.
mistaken, there was one particular girl that the parents had the sister go. Remember?
I remember that. Yes,
And the
yes, yes.
sister was staying in a different room or
That's the one they
something.
hadn't seen. I think they hadn't found. I
Well,
think.
yeah, something kind of funky happened, and
Yeah.
and she was threatened, and then she was afraid to tell the parents because they threatened the parent,
Hmm.
and it's just
It's
if
a
we're to
lot.
believe all this, if even a part of this is true, it's so horrific. This
It is. I guess I'm like, I believe in doing my homework. My mother has always been overprotective of me. That's probably where I get it from,
Yep,
because I'm the
ours
only
too.
boy.
Yep,
I'm the
yep.
youngest. Me and my sister, we're like 12 and a half years apart. So I'm almost like an only child in some cases because my sister was on her way into adulthood by the time I came around.
Right.
So it was me and mama was always overprotective of me. And it's like, okay, you're not going here. Let me talk to them. Let me see who they are. You know, do your homework. And this is not a bash on any of the parents. I really do understand, you know, this is an opportunity for your child and your child has the potential and R. Kelly was somebody that could really boost that potential. That's great and that's wonderful. But I still say do your homework, do some research. If you have a funny feeling, follow it. There's a thing
Exactly.
that, you have women's intuition, mother's intuition. Those things are real.
And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about ways to protect the children. Before I read the comments and we go on a quick break, I want to ask both of you because I know what I've been doing. Um,
Mm,
has anyone been listening to R. Kelly's music?
Indeed.
no, ma'am.
Okay, let me ask you this: before this happened, well, this has been going on ongoing.
Yeah,
Before the
before
docu series,
lifetime. Lifetime.
did you listen to the music?
I never cared for
Then that's okay.
yeah, I
Okay.
never really cared.
I did before and I'm still listening.
Probably the only song that they got out of me was like the song that everybody wanted to hear, so I believe I can fly and maybe one other song, but I wasn't a big fan because as a kid his music disturbed me.
As a kid, really,
Oh,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, and
bump and grind
every
disturbed me because
see, and bump and grind. It's just the hook. They say that same bump and
but
grind the whole
everything
song.
here I go. Everything means something. We can't just take everything and just being, oh, that's a hook. That sounds good. Nope. Everything has a message to it. To me, maybe that's the musician in me.
It
I
probably
don't
is,
write just any
and it
old
also
thing to be
had a
writing.
message to me too as an adult.
Well, yeah,
But no, I'm just saying.
but the message
Listen,
means different things to different
To
people.
different
right,
people.
right,
So
yeah.
Well,
that message may have just been, yeah, I don't see nothing wrong with us getting it in. Yeah, but if you put it in the context of what we've just seen, that may very well been a thing of, oh, I shouldn't be doing this with you.
Age ain't nothing but a number. Maybe that
That
one would have
all of that,
resonated more with you.
yeah.
right? I'm like, you know,
Yeah,
and, and certain things I got older kind of changed the meaning, because
yeah,
you get older, you learn more, and you
right,
kind of
right.
whatever. But I was never a big fan of R. Kelly to begin with, and I was,
That's a difference.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Whereas
I was,
So that
I
makes
liked
sense
his music,
where
I liked his
yeah,
voice.
I didn't care
yeah.
for his voice. I'm gonna be honest
I,
with you. I felt like he couldn't sing.
Oh,
I'm just be honest.
okay. That's okay.
But see, I have
That's
I have a
okay.
weird way of thinking about stuff, so don't pay me any attention.
Okay.
You know, I'm gonna get stoned later for that, but it's okay.
No, that's okay.
No,
I
it's all
mean,
right.
I didn't necessarily care for his voice. He had a few good songs that people liked that we thought was wonderful. You know, we want to be stepping in the name of love, all that stuff.
I like that
That was
one.
great. That was that feel good thing. You know, everybody wanted to be a part of, and I think it was great. I just didn't necessarily care for the majority of his music. When Chocolate Factory came out, my sister played that in. Was that a 2 CD set?
Yes, it was.
She played that thing forwards
Yep.
and backwards, and
And you didn't like it at all?
keep in mind, I
Okay.
was a heavy church kid. So it wasn't too much secular music I liked to listen to begin with, but that was just way too much for me.
Then that sure changed, huh? I'm just joking.
Oh,
I'm just,
Wow.
have some censorship. You so trouble.
I'm just
So, I mean, I just feel like, I felt dirty listening to it as a kid because I was so heavy
Chocolate
into
Factory.
church.
That was.
Well, I love
was
Bump and
some,
Grind.
like,
And after this all
real
happened, I said,
dirty.
let me listen to Bump and Grind to see exactly
Let
what
me
it
see what
was.
they talking
To
about.
see exactly what it
Let
was
me see
that
what
I
he
liked to
talking
buy.
about. Let
I
me
mean,
go
I
back.
just want to, maybe I missed something, you know, but
I
don't doubt you
I was
missed
listening,
anything.
and it was still on Pandora yesterday in their rotation. So Pandora ain't silenced them. I can tell you that much.
But they gonna play his
And
stuff because he make
what
money.
He's
they're gonna
making
play
money
they're
off
gonna
of
play it for
this.
now, but from what I understand, Sony and everyone else is talking about, I think they want to cut off his income stream because they feel if they cut
Oh
off
my
his income,
God,
maybe they'll
that ain't
stop what
stopping
he's
him.
doing. I'm not sure. Let's read some of these comments. We have comment from Romaine. Hey, Romaine. Hey, hello, Elliot. Why does everybody
Hey,
say hello?
Romaine,
She
I
even saying
love
hello,
you.
Shabelle. What about me? Hello.
She
Oh,
talk
damn.
to you all the time.
Okay.
Romaine, I love you, boo.
Mary Anderson. Oh, and that lady
Mother
was so,
Mary.
that lady was so happy to hear that song on Facebook Live. Thank you so much. Calvin Smith. Oh, Calvin's watching. You mean he's at home?
Hey,
Oh,
you so wrong.
Katie Lowe. Hey, Katie Lowe. We love you and we love your show. Shane McGregor. Todd Alums. Joyce out of ATL. And Earl the Pearl's watching too. Karen James Robinson. Is that your friend?
Yeah.
Okay.
From my church. Hey, Karen, love you.
Joyce Anoda, that tells a lot coming from his daughter. That I thought it was kind of sad.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really sad because the daughter, the mother and the father broke up. A lot of times the mother, oh gosh, I'm gonna get burned for this one. A lot of times the mother has a lot to do with molding a child's opinion. Yeah, her father may be whatever, but I don't know if I would have publicly. Anyway, I'm gonna leave that one alone. Randall Sargent from Indy. Hey, Randall. Brenda from ATL. Hey. Tina Marie. Hey, Tina.
All right. Tina
Joyce
Marie.
Anoda, they were paid off.
Well, I mean, they
I
probably
never
were.
liked him. Wait, I've not been listening to his music. I never listened to his shit.
You know that's your sister, ain't it?
And you never liked him. If I'm not mistaken, I don't see nothing
Ooh,
wrong.
don't be
Okay,
telling on
I'm
your
sorry. I'm
sister.
sorry.
no, but
Don't be telling on your sister like that. That's not nice.
Okay.
no,
On that
Shout out to my
note,
friend Tanya who's watching. Love you, Tanya.
you got any shout outs at all?
no.
Shamel, tell your people to watch the show because you don't never have any shout outs. I'm gonna talk about you right here on the show
Oh my
right now.
gosh.
Tell your people to watch the show because we want somebody to shout you out other than other
That
than
is
Oh,
a good
Genesis.
point. We have to all add value, and adding value is
Oh,
getting.
Lord. Well, shout
You're
out to me. I'm gonna
special.
shout myself out. Snap
Shimmy.
to that.
Oh, did you?
Well then,
Upper class shimmy. Come on. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back talking more about R. Kelly and how we can protect our children on Voices of Change. Oops.
Outstanding. Girl, you knock me out. Excited. by my side, I feel alive. You blow my mind. Outstanding. Girl, you knock me out. Excited. It makes me wanna shout. By my side, I feel alive. You blow my mind. You blow my mind, baby. I'm so alive with you, baby. You blow my mind, baby. I'm so alive. Outstanding. Girl, you knock me out. Excited.
Holly, it's been a week since Holly's docu-series premiered on Lifetime, detailing 25 years of sexual assault accusations made against the Chicago singer. The docu-series, executive produced by Dream Hampton, is a chilling account of the ways in which these allegations, made mostly by black women who claim they had sex with R. Kelly when they were underage, were largely ignored. Since the premiere, the conversation has shifted largely to the ways in which the music industry can create a system that enables sexual misconduct in the past week. The scrutiny following the accusations presented in Surviving R. Kelly has created a news cycle that is both exhausting and inescapable. Following the 1.9 million views on Surviving R. Kelly first night, the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network received a 20% increase in callers. But sexual assault hotlines weren't the only avenues receiving increases. Kelly's music, we talked about this, they saw a boost, which reported his music saw 116% increase following the final night of Surviving R. Kelly, according to Nielsen Music. His most streamed songs were Ignition,
Of course.
Trapped in the Closet, one of my favorite, Bump and Grind, Same Girl, and I Believe Yours, I Believe I Can Fly. It's hard to understand why people would reach for his hits after confronting this news, but clearly that's what has been happening. Everyone know about the state attorney Kim Fox. She held her news conference. Everyone knows about who saw it, saw John Legend, who publicly condemned R. Kelly in the docu-series. The world praised him for using a celebrity to denounce Kelly and asked the same of former collaborators, such as Lady Gaga and Phoenix, who apologized both for their poor judgment. And as I kicked the show off, we talked about Chance the Rapper, who also apologized for collabing. Now we're going to kind of shift it. If there's anything else that you wanted to mention, it looks like you have another thought. No, go on.
Made me think. A thing that was shared with me is I'm reminded actually of what my mentor told me a long time ago. She said, I have to learn how to separate. This was her talking. I have to learn how to separate the person from their music, because when you know a person behind the music, sometimes they don't always line up, and it'll make you, it will disturb your view of them. Mm-hmm. And so it's this whole thing of them reaching for his music speaks to just the way we think about it. I would venture to say we don't care so much about what you do. We care about how you make us feel. So your music makes us feel good. So it doesn't matter that you're doing X, Y, and Z over here. As long as your music is still good, which means we love the gift. We don't necessarily care about you.
So people are separating the music from the man.
Yes.
Well, I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago. Music is kind of a roadmap to your life. When you think about a song, you think about what you were
You were
doing,
doing at
who
that
you were
time.
with,
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
went to a. I mean, so it's more than the person who's put down the vocals on it.
Yeah.
So
The
I don't know.
person makes a difference, but I do get it. It is more than that.
It is.
And so a lot of us have successfully, in this case, separated the music from the person. So it doesn't matter. And here I go. I'm going to get in trouble. I don't care. It doesn't matter that you are sleeping with these women, these young ladies, because they're not our sisters, they're not our daughters, they're not our relatives. So it doesn't matter. So I just care about how you make me feel. You make all this good music for me to feel good. So I'm going to buy this music because I still support your music. I may not necessarily care what you do, or I may not like it, but I don't care because that don't concern me. And I guess a lot of people get in trouble because we get concerned about the person.
I guess your focus appears to be, again, I think we talked about this earlier, on him kicking it with underage girls. Men of means, entertainers, politicians. A lot of people have had relations with women, young girls.
Yeah.
And I'm
There's a lot
talking
of 'em out
14,
here now.
15,
And
16.
I'm not saying it's right because
Yeah.
I'm not
I
saying
feel like that with
it's right or
anybody,
wrong.
But he
but
should be an
because this is
example
what
made
we're
out
talking.
of.
Right. This is the topic that we're discussing. If
Right.
it were anybody else, I would feel the same thing. Leave these kids alone. I'm finna go. Oh my God. So
I hate the part that he's keeping them hostage.
yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's
But are they really locked?
I don't know.
Because
Maybe it could be a mental thing for all we know. We don't really know the
exactly.
inside thing.
And if you
Lock is
letting
locked, whether
somebody
it's a physical lock or a mental
control
lock, right? Because
controlling your brain.
now I'm finna
Go ahead,
I'm
go.
gonna go
You're
ahead and
already
get
in
in trouble.
trouble
I
anyway.
already get in trouble, right? So y'all may remember some time ago, this had to be at least 7 or 8 years ago now. The CPS teacher who got in big trouble, who it was said that he had allegedly been messing around with the boys of his class.
A guy teacher, right?
Yes, a guy
Okay.
teacher. And I knew of the teacher because we would see him because there was a music teacher, so we would see him at the various choir competitions, and we knew the school. I won't name the school right now, but it was so funny. Right before I watched the Surviving R. Kelly, somebody put the hashtag surviving blank blank. I was like, oh no, you did not do this. And so the stories about him started coming out again amongst these other students. And so there's some students who were like, oh, he didn't do that. He didn't do that. And I asked one student who I knew in particular, I said, what's their license plate? What their house look like? How do you know that? Because when we were in school, we didn't know we didn't know our teachers existed outside of the classroom. Honestly.
Exactly.
We
Right.
didn't know
Students
what kind of
think
car they
teachers
drove.
don't.
I know.
We didn't know what kind of house they lived in. You had students that could account for um what the teacher's license plate was, what kind of car they drove the car, what the inside of their house looked like. It's one thing if you're out of school, you graduated and you can come back. No, they were athlete students, and we students from another school could almost agree because you were the only teacher from what we could see that had a male student assistant with you at all times. We couldn't do that at my school, and we didn't see no other teachers doing that. So it's all about just what you see and what's going on. And the thing was, it leaves these kids alone. You want somebody to mess around with you, somebody your
An
own
adult.
age, an adult or something. And I do get that R. Kelly had some issues coming up from
Abuse or
abuse
incest,
and all,
whatever.
and I
Yeah.
get that because
Yeah.
that happens and that affects everybody differently. I'm not bashing him because I believe he's a product of what he's gone through, and everybody deals with what they deal with differently.
Differently.
This may be how he's dealt with it. Maybe he hasn't sought any kind of professional help. I don't know, but I still say there should be some kind of help should have been offered. If you see this is an issue, people around you see this is an issue. Don't subscribe to those issues. If you see he has an issue, I don't care how much money you're getting. If you don't handle this issue with him, your money's gonna stop because you already see they're canceling concerts. That is affecting you, and I feel like we should all hold each other accountable.
And
for
that's
the
why they were
things.
so complicit. I mean, those
Yeah.
in his inner circle, they were even helping him. They were
And
but
it's like somebody has to be forthright and be like, no, this is wrong. We need to
But
do
they all did
something.
it together.
And
Exactly.
right, you all did it
Actually.
together. So all
That's
of y'all
He's like, I
crazy.
like her. Get her
so
number.
he
Get
ain't the
her.
only one that should go
Yeah.
down. All of them
Everybody
should go
who's on
down
that
with him.
confessing, they should have
Everybody.
got
The
a.
person, like the one when the
Yeah, the
manager something,
manager.
who didn't
Yeah.
want to be seen, he ought to go down too.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, the one with the blurry face or whatever
Yeah,
in the voice.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
He ought to go down to all of them.
And the brothers were protecting him.
yeah.
One
Yeah.
brother that was
Yeah,
in
I
jail.
couldn't believe
Hey,
that. Like,
they-
you
He had
already in
3X.
jail.
Wait,
What you got to
3X.
lose? Come on, man.
3X. Well, he
Quit
like
that
he
fool.
like young girls. I like old women.
I'm like, really?
Like that's their preference.
Really? See,
No.
here I go. Now, and so here I go again. Even in the Bible, when we talked about Lucifer and Satan and all these things, when God kicked Lucifer out of heaven, he didn't just kick Lucifer out. He kicked the 3/4 of the people that were with him. All of them got kicked out. So you can't just get one. I feel like everybody that's with R. Kelly, that is, you've allowed it to happen. You've perpetuated it. Whatever you've done to aid in this, all of y'all should go down. If this has really happened, if you know it to be true, if you have not stopped it, all of y'all need to be convicted and put away because it's wrong. Whether you're underage or of age, manipulation and all that stuff is just wrong. You cannot do that to people.
And you're absolutely right. And that's where we're going to go to now because it's not just entertainers, it's clergy. You know of a lot of clergy that's
Yeah.
been doing this. It's educators. You mentioned the teacher.
Yeah.
It's coaches. It's people in the
everywhere.
sports. What about the gymnastics doctor?
Oh,
Remember,
Yeah.
he was doing.
Well,
I mean, you know, so it's some people seek these professions to have accessibility to the young people.
yes.
So what we have to do, we're going to talk about quickly 5 steps to protect our children. And it starts out with learn the facts and the risk.
Somebody named the school. They
Learn
I mean,
the
name the school.
They
now.
named it.
Yeah, they named the school. I didn't mean for you to name the school, but that's okay.
It's
in the
out there
news.
now.
I mean, if you saw the news, you saw it was Kenwood Academy
It sounds like that's wait,
on the
that's
south side.
but that's his school, isn't it?
Who?
R. Kelly's.
Yeah, it is.
I was gonna say, isn't it?
And that what
Oh,
made it
Lord.
so interesting though. Okay, so here I go. Here's my Chicago music history lesson, real quick. Yeah, it's Kenwood. It is Kenwood. So if you saw the documentary, there's I won't call her a little old woman, but she's an older woman.
Yes.
Who's in a wheelchair. Dr. Lena McLean.
Yeah.
Very well known
yeah.
composer,
Yeah.
writer. I believe she's the niece of Thomas Dorsey, the father of gospel music. Very well known. She was his teacher at Kenwood Academy at that point.
Right. She said that. Mhm.
And so I don't know if this teacher that I'm speaking of was right after her, but I know he was there while I was in high school. So it's been her, let's say this teacher, and then I know the current teacher, who is a phenomenal teacher who would never do anything like this. But that teacher prior to him, in between Lena and the current teacher, it's funny that you should go to Kenwood, and we all had our suspicions about Kenwood just going, period. Seeing the kids. Kenwood was always full of talent, but it was always something a little interesting about them, so I say the least. No offense to any of my Kenwood friends. I love y'all. Because I keep getting in trouble. But my point is, I found it so interesting that, he went to Kenwood, and then you come back, there's a teacher at Kenwood in the music department that did something similar to that.
Okay.
So yeah.
So Kenwood just
Kenwood, huh? That's wow. It's right here, Kenwood.
Kenwood is no longer marred by that. They are definitely now. I know because I know the teacher, the current teacher. They are good group of kids, good teacher, good music program.
And I think Khalid's daughter goes to Kenwood.
Yeah, I know people that go to Kenwood. So Kenwood now, under better circumstances,
they've got it together.
Yeah, they've gotten it together. I will defend them and say that before that teacher was arrested.
Okay. We got 2 minutes.
The principal was trying to kind of get all that out before it got out, but he didn't do it. But that's me now. Carry on. 5 steps.
Okay, quickly, the 5 steps, because we don't want to be reactive and wait till something like this happens. We want to be proactive.
Yes.
First of all, one of the first things is learn the risk and the facts. 35% of victims are 11 years old or younger. 40% are abused by older or larger children. It impacts everyone. Impacting meaning 70 to 80% of sexual abuse survivors report excessive drug and alcohol use. One study showed that among male survivors, 50% have suicidal thoughts and more than 20% attempt suicides. You want to minimize the opportunity. I think that's what you talked about, Elliot, minimizing the opportunity. If you eliminate or reduce isolated one-on-one situations between children and adults, as well as children and other youth, you'll dramatically reduce the risk of sexual abuse. You got to think about these kids, and you have to reduce that risk. Another one was talk about it. When we talk to our children in age appropriate ways about our bodies, sex, and boundaries, children understand what healthy relationships look like. It also
Exactly.
teaches them that they have the no. They become less vulnerable to people who would violate their boundaries and are more likely to tell if abuse occurs. Another one is recognizing the signs. Physical signs of sexual abuse are not common, although you may have redness, rashes, swelling in the genital area, urinary tract infections. Sometimes you have emotional or behavior signals. Sometimes the sexual behavior and language change. Sometimes you don't have anything.
Mm.
The last one is don't overreact. If you hear something, if your child tell you something, don't make them feel guilty. Just listen. I have been told by Miss Wanda that we have to wrap it up. Can you believe our time is up already?
Woo!
I know,
We will
right?
be back here next
Soon.
week with our special guest G Body from
G-Body.
Chicago, and we want everyone to have a great week. Have a great week and protect those babies.